So hi, my name's Bob Hughes. I'm the CEO of the Forton Group, who provide coaches to the UNHCR. And today I'm talking with Stephen Walker, who is one of the co-creators of the Emotions and Behaviours at Work tool. So welcome, Stephen.
Thanks very much, Bob.
I wanted to start by asking you, what is it about emotional intelligence that is so important to leaders?
Well, primarily, it's the important aspect of leadership is about being self-aware and understanding how your emotions and behaviours impact not on yourself, but other people. However, what leaders need to remember, especially new leaders, is what got them to their leadership position isn't necessarily going to make them successful in the future.
So quite often we find that people's technical or professional skills are the things that get them promoted. And what you're saying is that isn't enough, that in the new world of work that we're in today, people need that emotional intelligence, that awareness of themselves and others to succeed.
Yeah, that's right. I think leaders have to recognize that the people that they're working with may be more intellectually powerful than them, maybe have more expertise, more experience, and their job as a leader is to manage those relationships and maximize their potential.
Yeah, it goes back to that work of Daniel Goleman, doesn't he, where he talked about sort of self-awareness and then the ability to manage your own emotions in order to be aware of other people's emotions and manage those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. The significance of that, what we call the intrapersonal intelligence, understanding yourself and knowing how to manage your emotions and behaviors in the workplace, but also then using that as a blueprint to understand other people's emotional behaviors and what will motivate them and what drives their performance is absolutely imperative.
So we're going to invite people to take part in the EBW survey. So the first thing they'll do is they'll get an email from us inviting them to take place. What do they do then?
There'll be what we call a username and password and a link to the assessment center. They use that username and password to give them confidential access to their own personal assessment. And then the assessment takes roughly about 20 minutes. So they should make some time away from other people where they've got some privacy, just to have a little reflect and complete the assessment.
So once they've completed the assessment, what happens to the report?
So the report is sent to their coach that they've designated, and they will arrange a time to have a feedback interview, which will give them an opportunity to discuss the results.
So why doesn't the individual get the report in advance?
There are two reasons, Bob, why we don't provide the EBW report in advance. The first is that when people first see their EBW results, they need an opportunity to discuss the powerful feedback and what that means for them. But they don't often know that until they see their EBW results. The second reason is that the EBW is all about building the user's self-awareness of themselves and how they impact on others. And in the first session, their coach will use their EBW report to form a gap analysis that will reveal how well they know themselves, their blind spots, and what their opportunities are for growth. And it's this gap analysis and the subsequent discussion on their business emotional intelligence that will underpin their future coaching sessions.
So what does the report tell them?
It provides 19 pages of rich feedback about the user's business emotional intelligence. It focuses on 8 emotional drives and behaviours that make up business emotional intelligence. Areas like people's comfort with decision making, how motivated they are, their need to influence. Are they adaptable? Are they flexible in the workplace? Do they empathise with other people? Do they follow the rules? Do they like structure when they're working? And how resilient are they? And how do they express their emotions? And importantly, how aware are they of these emotional drives and behaviours and how that might affect their performance in the workplace? Essentially, Bob, what it does is it provides a blueprint for people to understand their emotional behaviour and how to use that blueprint to improve their performance and the performance of others.
So in the report, there's 8 factors that are covered, and there's a scale from 0 to 10 for each of those 8 factors. Does that mean that 0 is bad and 10 is good?
No, the scale is a 10-point scale, but what it's actually telling the individual is where their emotional behavior compares to other people. So it's showing you how similar or different you are to how other people have responded to the assessment. There's no good or bad, it's just building your awareness of how your emotional behavior compares to other people.
So once people have got the feedback, when they've seen the report, what should they be doing about it?
I think the first thing is to reflect on what that emotional behavior, what their emotional behavior means for them and their performance. And then the second stage is actually to think about, well, what does that mean for the people they work with? Is that helpful to them? So take for example, decisiveness or decision making. We measure the emotional drives that make people comfortable with decision making. Now, you may be very comfortable making decisions, but does that empower your team to take responsibility for the decision? So the EBW report is a starting point for that conversation.
So people are going to have a coach to work with to help them interpret the results. What are the most important things that they should be working on with their coach?
Well, it's context and situation every time. It's what their needs are at that moment. But I guess there are 2 specific areas they need to focus on. One is, do those drivers of their emotional behavior, does that work for them now? And are there things that they might want to change or do things differently or manage better given where they want to be in their career? And the second part is really what, as I said earlier, about the interpersonal intelligence, which is how do their understanding of their emotional behaviors affect the people that they work with, and how does that inspire them or motivate them to perform at the maximum potential that's possible for them.
Great. And the coaches that they're going to be allocated to work with are all trained in interpreting this tool, so they should make the best use they can of those sessions they've got with the coaches to do those important things.
Absolutely.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a really interesting conversation.
Thank you, Bob.